we drive our team fairly hard, and Dave has to leave fairly shortly to get a fast plane to China and bring back the, well, I was going to say bring back the bacon, bring back the fish and chips or whatever. But so if he disappears, it's not that he's abandoning us, it's his business to do. Just one or two words as to why we undertook this damn thing in the first instance. It actually arose by a combination of an accidental outcome of a discussion with people from the, with some colleagues from the Institute of Physics who were trying to lobby for membership of CERN, and on the back of that discussion we thought, well, it'd be nice to have some kind of international recognition of some of the rising science in Ireland. But the broader motivation that came out of it was the recognition that we've spent 10 years building our place in science. If you go back and look at our vital statistics in science 10 years ago, we really weren't at the races. In fact, if it's not an inappropriate metaphor these days, we were kind of Mediterranean in our vital statistics. Now, in science, at any rate, we kind of, little tectonic plate, we moved about 1,000 kilometers north in those 10 years, simply by virtue of the growing sophistication of our industry, which was progressively spending more each year on science, and matched pace by pace with government spending, which actually increased over those 10 years up to 2008 until the world came crashing down, increased at about 14% per annum, which was more than twice the rate of growth in the economy. So there was a real commitment there. So the motivation essentially was to say, by God, suddenly we're not Mediterranean anymore, we're kind of Middle European in our vital statistics. And we wanted to kind of claim our place in the world for that. Now, maybe it's a little bit premature because we still have a long way to go. In my judgment, we're about halfway to where we want to be. I mean, we should match our vital statistics, both input and output and competence and reputation and everything in science. We should be kind of Scandinavian within a decade, and I think that's achievable. So this is all, in a sense, part of the building blocks of that. You know, we were prepared to stand up in class and say, okay, folks, you know, we're here. So we looked around then for some kind of way of doing that, and we found, lo and behold, that there was this series that we had never heard of before called ESOF, which had started in a small way in Sweden and had migrated then to Munich and then to Barcelona. And the more we looked at it, we thought, this looks like a good opportunity. So we gathered our courage and asked the government to kind of give us a commitment if we made a bid for it, and they said yes, fine, because everybody said yes to everything in those days, so it was much easier. But so, I mean, with that behind us, we went off and put the bid together, and that was quite a learning exercise too. And as part of that, I should say, we went and we flew the flag fairly high at Barcelona because we were only candidates at that stage. Having won it then, we flew it even higher at Turin, and along the way we did the same at the AAAS, which is the American equivalent in three places in I think Chicago and San Diego, and subsequently it happens every year, and subsequently in Washington. So we kind of learned along the way what other people are doing, and the more we learned, the more we said, well, you know, it's doable, and Ireland has arrived. So that's the kind of motivation of why we're doing it. Now, why are we here today? Well, primarily because, as Dave has said, we have a deadline coming up, 2 deadlines coming up at the end of the month. And we thought there's no point in informing people after the deadlines have closed. So we thought, one, even though most of you know about it because we've been beating the bushes for the last 6 months to try and make sure that people are aware that things are happening and that there are calls and opportunities both for the scientific program and for the public engagement program. And both of those calls are on the web, and if you haven't seen them, have a look at them, because in another month the doors are going to close on that, and the program will largely be created out of what comes in on the wind from those 2 calls. Now, we have reasonable expectations. The early indications are good. The hits on our website and so on give us an indication that there are a lot of people out there, quite well spread across particularly across Europe, but also across the world, who are looking to Dublin. And out of that, we hope to get, certainly on the scientific program, we would hope to get at least 200% of what we have space for. I mean, we want an attrition rate of at least 50%, and better still, 70%, because that means that we guarantee ourselves a very good program. And as David said, most of the program, which will probably be running at the rate of about 5 parallel sessions at any one time, But then on top of that, we have these top-down things which are put together by Luke's program, and he'll explain to you in a bit more detail. But essentially, we've recruited some of the best, most recognized, most authoritative people in the world to contribute prestige lectures. And then we have these 4 pillars, which are, as Dave has explained, they're linkages to the rest of the world. And we're toying with the idea of labeling one of the days a policy day, in which we could have some significant elements of policy, perhaps coming from the EU or perhaps intercontinental comparisons. So it's gradually taken shape, and we're, I think, confident that we're going to do better than it's ever been done before. Finally, why, given the time frame we're in, it's fairly clear why we're here. It's essentially to kind of drive business towards those 2 calls against those closing dates. So in summary, essentially, we're here in whatever strength we can muster, both to inform and to stimulate.